The movie begins with a voiceover of a man named JC. He recounts a memory with his mother who once told her about a strange creature that he met. Without much information about this creature, the scene cuts to a forest. Here, we meet two thieves who are busy swiping wood from the forest. Suddenly, one of them hears a strange noise from a tree. With a flashlight in one hand, he rushes around in search of the source. On one side of the tree, he finds the face of a person. It looks as if the person has been absorbed into the tree. The man panics and bolts from there, before he can go somewhere. To his surprise, a woman tumbles down from the tree. Upon closer inspection, she is visibly pregnant. It is a wonder how she can fall down that height with such a huge bump on her stomach and still remain intact. There seems to be something inside her, yearning to make it outside. Just in the nick of time, a few other men, with their flashlights in hand, arrive at the scene. They see the woman's stomach twitching. Meanwhile, in the background, we see a man approaching with a gun. As he draws closer, all the men who were once crowded over the woman's body are all fleeing except the man who saw it first. He is sitting down near the body and talking about something that once lived in the forest and is now living within, probably referring to the woman's body. Just then, the armed man takes down the man. His blood drops down over a strange creature that sucks it inside its body, and the scene cuts. In the next scene, we see a man cutting his white beard with a scissor. He has sunken eyes and a gaunt face. After shaving his face clean, he throws away a parcel that he had brought in himself and leaves. Later, we see him driving with a boy named JC. They talk about how the boy was almost caught 2 times by the border police due to his fake ID. This place seems to attract a certain crowd, criminals seeking refuge from the law, and he too is an immigrant and is illegally here. The man driving him back turns out to be this boy's father. He owns a hotel named Motel Acacia, and currently they are driving back to the motel. The man casually hands him an empty packet of cigarettes. It turns out to be his late mother's. The boy takes it and inhales its scent, trying to remember his late mother. He keeps calling the man sir and seems rather scared of the boy. It is quite clear that they are not too close. Along with them, there is an old man who is sitting in the open back of the vehicle. After a long drive through the snow-covered land, they arrive at the motel. The insides of the place look dark. JC tries a button but no lights turn on. Shortly after he enters, the man who was on the back of their car also enters. The pitch-black interior is finally illuminated and they follow JC's dad inside. It does not look like a normal motel at all. Once they settle down inside a room, JC's father gives him a fake ID card, telling him that it would make him almost invincible. They then sit down on a table with his son and they begin eating a very scarce meal. They leave out the poor suffering man. Even when he begs to receive a little food, for which he has even paid, the cruel man denies him even a single bite. JC is shocked by this and asks his father to confirm if this place is meant for immigrants, to provide them food and shelter and to give them hope. Turns out, it was all a ruse. His father coldly looks him over and tells him sarcastically to look around and see for himself if there is any immigrant found around. He also enlightens JC about the remoteness of the place. Cards are useless, and food scarcity is a common issue. The old man argues that Angelie, the woman who told him about this place, promised comfort and food for the money. Angelie is a woman who works for this cruel man and supplies him with these immigrant customers. JC's dad looks visibly irritated and tells the old man that if he is so eager for comfort and food, he should just be on his way. This ruthless man knows full and well how far away the camp is from here, and how bad the weather is. Thus, he uses the poor old man's weakness against him. Afterwards, the man takes them through dark corridors towards the room. The pathways are strangely eerie and even have a pool on one side. Midway, the man asks JC if he can trust him. JC innocently replies that he is his son, but the man retorts that even children can betray their parents. Now, in order to gain his trust, he instructs JC to tell the man to undress before getting to the room. JC is baffled, wondering why his dad is making such an unusual request. When he tries to reason, the man shuts him up by saying that he should do as asked if he wants to take charge of the place. JC half-heartedly approaches the man and asks him to strip. Despite the man's hesitation, he complies and strips down. They then proceed towards the room given to the old man. Once they reach the room, the man starts to get scared and asks to go back. JC's dad reminds him how he begged to come here. Now that he no longer wishes to stay, he may go back, but before he can get back to where he came, he would either freeze to oblivion or might even get shot by the patrol police. Saying this, he takes a picture of the poor old man and leaves him there. JC also follows his father. The man stands before his assigned room, whimpering in both cold and fear while the father and son duo head to the control room, overseeing all the motel rooms. JC's dad, wanting to show JC the surveillance setup, asks if he wants to see what's happening in a particular room. JC agrees, and his dad opens a cupboard, revealing a secret door inside. Before entering, his father tells JC that he would only tell him his secrets when he trusts his son. Back on the other side, the trembling man finally enters the room. There, he sees a huge king-size bed with a white sheet over it. Inside the room, he keeps hearing a strange noise coming from inside the bedsheets. He lowers his head to hear the noise and traces his hands along the sheet to find something, but nothing occurs. Tired to the bone, he dumps his bed on the floor and mounts the bed. As the old man lies on the bed and starts to rest, an eerie transformation occurs. The bed becomes sticky, and the man's body starts to get sucked inside the slimy sheets. Back outside, JC and his dad arrive at the other side of the room through the secret passageway. Midway there, JC sees bottles of chemicals resting on a trolley. He asks his father who built the place, but the man ignores his question and urges him to peep into the room through a hole. Observing this bizarre scene from the outside, JC is thoroughly petrified. He wonders how a bed could seemingly devour a man. To add to his horror, JC's dad hands him a bag and instructs him to clean up the bloody remains of the poor old man. Upon his hesitation, his dad reminds him of how he wanted to take over, so now is his chance to prove himself. Disgusted by the scene, JC reluctantly takes over. While carrying out this grim task, he spots a strange creature lurking beneath the bedsheet. The sight disturbs him to the core, increasing his anxiety. Adding to it, the bloody remains of the man and the sticky repulsiveness of the bed prompt him to run away to the side and vomit. His dad is amused by it and tells him not to worry as the creature only likes to play with people. The man approaches the bed and somehow calms the beast down with a drop of his blood. He then approaches the panicking JC and shushes him. As the boy's breathing calms down, he emphasizes that no matter what happens, only men are to be brought into this room and never a woman. This creature only feeds on men, and in a sick way, it lusts for women, which may lead to pregnancy and the birth of another monster creature. Later, we see the boy run out of the room and use the empty cigarette packet of his mother to calm himself down. He then cleans the bed and the room using chemicals, since water doesn't help, and dumps the remains into a fireplace. All the while, his father observes him from the control room. The following day, JC notices a woman outside the motel. The woman turns out to be none other than Angelie. She's on the phone with a doctor, discussing the operation regarding her sick son. She asks the doctor to schedule the operation, since she has deposited the money, but it seems as though the doctor is unwilling to do so. Curious about Angelie's presence, JC approaches her, seeking answers about who she is and why she's there. He tells the woman that she is trespassing. The woman laughs and asks who he is. Soon, JC's father comes out and the woman rushes to his side. She asks him for some money due to an emergency. The man brushes her off, saying that they only get paid after they make the delivery. He is about to enter his car, but the woman gets in his way. She begs him for the money, almost to the point of tears, as it is an extreme emergency for her sick son. The man looks unbothered but still takes out a bundle of cash and hands it to her. She counts it and turns out that it is half the payment. The woman tries to reason further, but the cold man tells him that the other half would only be given to her after she does her job. After that, JC and his dad travel along a road commonly used for crossing the border. There, JC's dad sets up a trap, strategically placing a net to puncture the tires of passing cars. This clever scheme ensures that stranded travelers will seek refuge at the motel, making it easier for JC's dad to feed the creature. Before they enter the car, the man finally calls JC his son and the boy is visibly shaken. He thinks about how it was this moment that he had always hoped for, to finally be accepted. The scene then fast forwards to a stormy night. We see a couple dragging the unconscious body of JC to the motel. When JC regains consciousness, he finds himself wrapped inside blankets that Angelie had covered him in. She tells him that he was in need of warmth, thus she covered him and tended to him. The poor boy asks what happens next, to which Angelie replies that she has brought 3 men. According to her, one of them is a bit difficult, but she believes they can handle them, hopefully. She demands that first of all, he should pay her the money that his dad owes. JC, still looking all shaken, conveys his inability to provide funds. He tells her that all the money is with his father. Angelie tries to beg him for the money, saying that she doesn't care what happens to the men, but she needs the money. JC, on the other hand, is determined not to be a brutal slaughterer like his father, and thus he tells Angelie that he will let them go. The woman, however, persuades him otherwise. It turns out that the town's council paid JC's father to take out the immigrants. Thus, if he let them loose, then they would be the ones to get in trouble. Engulfed in a paradox, JC approaches the group with a single thought in his head. He is not a slaughterer like his father. Meanwhile, JC's father is nowhere to be seen. He enters the room where the group is present. There he is, greeted by Dawn, who threateningly introduces him to his 2 other companions, a bearded Bront and another man with glasses named Sami. Apart from them, the couple who brought in JC the other night is also present there. Dawn makes sure to tell JC to be true to his word and give them what they paid for, or else he will make sure to make him pay. He then asks for some food and JC goes to fetch some. He comes back with a few slices of bread. Dawn looks pissed and asks what kind of shitty service this is. Aware of the shortage of food, Angelie tells the men that more food is on the way, along with their documents, so they should just be patient. Despite their protests about everything, JC insists that his dad will return with more provisions. Later, we see JC back in his room, contemplating what his father would have done if he were here. The scene then cuts to a flashback to the day when JC and his father were returning after placing the traps. Turns out there was a harsh storm on their way back. That day, upon their return, JC confronts his dad, questioning the morality of his actions. He expresses disbelief at how his father handed over the old man to the creature. In response, JC's dad tells him how he was also there, and if his dad had taken the man's life, then so had he. The old man further reveals his intentions, stating that he wants JC to take over his work. As a symbolic gesture, he entrusts JC with the keys, paving the way for a dark, morally complex, and somewhat unwanted inheritance. In the midst of their conversation, JC's car gets into an accident. When he regains consciousness and looks over to his dad, he discovers the tragic truth. His father has lost his life. overwhelmed. That night, JC witnesses an unexpected transformation. Strange tree trunks came out of nowhere and engulfs his father. Shaken to the core, he stumbles out of the car in the freezing cold. Dragging his trembling body, he asks a passing vehicle for help. Luckily, a couple sees the helpless boy and they are willing to help. Back to the present, we see everyone back in their assigned rooms. JC takes his place in the control room, eavesdropping on conversations, thanks to the cameras his dad had installed in every room. The couple discusses their regret about coming to this place, but the girl defends their decision, stating they saved JC and she doesn't regret helping him. Meanwhile, the three men contemplate going to their homes and how it was not a good decision to trust Dawn with this motel plan. They talk about how Angelie knows something that they don't, and she is somehow deceiving them. Suddenly, JC notices Angelie attempting to open the room containing the creature with a knife. She seems to be strangely hearing a noise coming from inside. Turns out that the creature is beckoning her in. Concerned, JC rushes to her and urges her not to open the door. Angelie, convinced that JC's dad has hidden money in the room, dismisses his warning. JC tries to reason with her, insisting there's no money in there, but she remains determined. Ignoring his advice, she opens the door, only to find nothing inside. As these events unfold, the couple that had rescued JC earlier, Kathy and James, also arrive at the place. Kathy exclaims how she has been hearing a voice and it is coming from this room. The woman excitedly enters the room against JC's advice. He tells them to leave and come with him, since their room is next door, but Kathy seems strangely obsessed with the bed. JC tries to stop her from touching it, but James becomes furious and pushes the boy aside. Ignoring his warnings, they toss him out and shut the door on his face. Helpless, JC watches in horror. Back inside, the couple sit on the bed. Kathy says that the sound is gone, but James is unable to understand since he can't hear it. The couple then starts making love, oblivious to the slimy bed that is slowly engulfing them. When JC returns to the room with a knife for help, the unthinkable has already happened. The creature has eaten the boy, pulling him inside, effectively consuming him. Moreover, it has shockingly left the girl pregnant. As JC draws closer, he finds the girl unconscious with a strangely twitching belly. Guilt washes over him, as he is unable to save the couple who saved him. He then pricks his finger, just like his father, to calm the beast. Then, acting swiftly, he moves Kathy to a separate room to wash her clean. He then dumps the remains in the fireplace, concealing the unsettling truth about the creature. Later outside, the three men engage in a heated argument with JC over food. They demand a refund for their money, saying that they are leaving, but JC tells them to wait for his father, lying that he has their money. The tension escalates, but suddenly, their attention is diverted when a mysterious sound emanates from the basement. Investigating, they discover Kathy with a ghastly expression floating in the pool on her back. Her stomach is unnaturally swollen, containing the offspring of the creature. She writhes in pain, revealing that the water makes the pain a little better. JC approaches the pool, asking the girl to come up so they can go to a doctor. The distressed girl pleads with everyone to cut open her stomach and remove whatever is inside. However, no one gathers the courage to take such a drastic step. JC holds the knife over her stomach but is unable to proceed further. Frustrated and desperate, the girl takes matters into her own hands. She grabs the knife from his hands. Disgustingly, a bizarre creature emerges out of her and plops down. Everyone is horrified and tries to move away. The creature, however, attacks Bront, who is just nearby. He stumbles away, with the creature stuck to his back. Dawn quickly grabs the knife and rushes after Bront. They manage to save him, but the creature escapes. They quickly take Bront out and shut the door, trapping the creature inside. Dawn rushes out to drive off and find help for his friend. JC warns him of the storm, but he refuses to listen and goes out. Meanwhile, JC starts hearing strange sounds coming from inside the walls. His observation is cut short when Dawn comes and beckons him out. He and Sami tell him that the door was recently opened, indicating that someone has been out. JC tells them that perhaps it was James, hiding the fact that he is in fact not alive anymore. As they attempt to depart, they discover that Katie's car has been punctured. Suspicion falls on Angelie, as she had brought them to the motel. However, JC refutes the claims, protecting the woman. When Dawn asks for a place with a signal, JC lies again, saying that it is an hour away. Despite his claim of not wanting to be cold-blooded like his father, he is in fact acting like his father's son. Back inside, Sami is busy accusing Angelie of sabotaging their car, when suddenly, the group is startled by a chilling, ominous noise. Panic sets in among everyone. All of a sudden, Angelie then states that JC's dad might have hidden their documents in the locked room of the basement. She tells Dawn that if he makes JC open that room, then she would drive them all away. JC is shocked to hear Angelie betray him. Dawn quickly agrees with Angelie, despite being speculative of her a moment ago. As the three go out, Dawn instructs Sami to protect Bront from the girl who just gave birth to a monster. Left all alone in the room with the unconscious girl and the injured Bront, Sami starts hearing a strange sound from the wall. He smacks the wall with his hand and feels a slimy substance stick to his hand. Bront gets up to investigate with his lighter. Suddenly, the creature, entwined in roots within the wall, ignites the lighter, causing chaos. Bront falls down in shock, but when he slowly gets up, he feels the creature creep up on him from behind and fatally attack the poor man. Meanwhile, the other three arrive at the door of the room where the creature resides. Before they can go in, Dawn hears Sami call out to him. The three quickly rush up. As JC, Angelie, and Dawn arrive, they see Kathy sitting up in a corner with a scared expression. Dawn finds Bront grotesquely buried inside a wall with half his face visible. They inquire about the situation from Kathy, who reveals that she does not know what happened. All of a sudden, they hear a noise and rush to Sami's side. There, they find Sami taking his last breaths. Before passing away, he whispers to Dawn that Angelie knows something and that she is responsible. Angelie, on the other side, finds the small creature and defends its innocence, claiming it doesn't comprehend its actions. JC, concerned for everyone's safety, grabs the creature and throws it into the burning fire, emphasizing the potential threat it poses. The mother creature reacts furiously, screaming in anger. The thunderous noise echoes throughout the place. Dawn, furious and blaming Angelie for the demise of his friends, attempts to drown her. He accuses her, asserting that everything happened because of her. JC intervenes, urging the man to let Angelie go. However, when JC notices the creature approaching in the water, he skillfully turns the tables on Dawn, diverting his attention and potentially saving Angelie's life. The creature attacks Dawn, and he manages to fend it off by cutting its root with a knife and saving himself. JC and Angelie seize the opportunity and escape the room. While making their way out, they make sure to lock Dawn in and rush to the control room. Once there, JC attempts to mislead the man and guide him to the creature's room through the microphone. Dawn gets angry and breaks out of the room and rushes towards the control room. Meanwhile, JC and the two women go through the secret passage. Seeing a stash of food, Kathy questions JC, who explains that he had kept it for challenging times. She then inquires if he has done something to James. Turns out the girl does not remember what really happened. JC lies again, saying that he must have gone out to get help. Kathy, getting frustrated, starts to shout, but then hearing Dawn's voice from outside, she shuts up. JC tells them that the plan is to wait out in this secret passage while Dawn passes away due to starvation outside. But this idea doesn't sit well with Angelie. Thus, they have a change of plans. JC goes out and lures Dawn into the creature's room. Getting the chance, he pushes the man onto the bed, but unluckily for him, nothing happens. Dawn fails to grasp JC's intentions, since he knows nothing about the monster inside the bed and merely laughs at him. Seeing as nothing is happening, JC tries to wrench away the knife from his hand. A struggle ensues and Dawn finally has the upper hand. He chokes JC, trying to take his life. Just then, Angelie intervenes, slashing the man with the knife. Writhing in pain, he stands up. JC effectively pulls away the knife, causing him to fall onto the bed. Seizing the moment, the creature finally emerges, pulling the man in and consuming him for good. A guilt-ridden JC, with tears streaking down his eyes, apologizes to Dawn before he is fully engulfed by the monster. Later, JC and Angelie prepare the car to leave. Angelie starts the car and waits for it to warm up. She calls her son, while JC comes back in to call Kathy. Inside, he hears a strange noise coming from somewhere, and follows it to find a terrifying tree-like monster. Though it attempts to attack JC, its roots are entangled, rendering it temporarily immobile. Determined, JC confronts it. He makes sure to tell the monster that it is living in his place and thus he is its master. He then hears a noise coming from the bedroom. Entering, he finds Angelie sitting and mourning the loss of her son. He manages to persuade Angelie to leave with him. JC then aims to eliminate the creature by setting the bed on fire. Soon they depart. However, midway, Angelie starts experiencing discomfort in her stomach. Turns out, the creature had attacked her earlier, leaving her pregnant. JC grabs the knife, but Angelie, desperate to save the strange creature, moves away. She opens the car door and runs off into the woods. JC runs after her with the knife and Kathy drives off with the car, taking the money with her. JC is not surprised. He leaves the car and runs after Angelie to save her. On the other side, the car comes to a halt. It becomes apparent that roots are emerging from the girl's body, leading to her demise. Back inside the snow-covered forest, JC looks desperately for Angelie and finally manages to find her in a grotesque scene. She has birthed the monster, who is slowly crawling away from her. When JC attempts to slaughter the Angelie intervenes, allowing the creature to escape. She then succumbs to grief, shedding tears for the creature that had lost its life back in the motel. It seems like Angelie can strangely feel all that the creatures are feeling. It is like a kind of bond. Overwhelmed with sadness, JC holds Angelie and tries to comfort her for the losses she has witnessed. When he opens his eyes, he finds Angelie gone. As he looks for her, he finds her face in a tree. Haunted by the belief that her body is somehow within it, JC expresses remorse, blaming himself for her demise. As he is crying, he hears a melody and looks back to see the fleeting vision of Angelie with her son. He is comforted by the thought that perhaps she finally found her way home. The movie ends with JC, now all alone as the sole survivor, wandering the haunting forest with his haunted life.